Hello, Internet. This is Ben with another Mysterious Space update. So the end of the month release came a little bit late, partly because I was out of town, partly because I got distracted with other projects, which I'll talk about later. But the big thing in this update is achievements. As we can see here, I have so far only achieved 3, which makes me worry a little bit about whether or not they're bugs, but I think it'll be fine. The achievement system... I hope you didn't hear that terrible squeak. That was my chair. The achievement system, the code, is pretty straightforward, so I think a lot of these are going to work fine. We've got the normal things like get a bunch of points, and then we've got more weird things. You can also see that not all of them have icons, so that's just something I'll work on as time goes on. Drawing the icons takes a little bit of time, and I didn't want to delay the release anymore. These icons are not super important. I can just make them whenever. It doesn't require an update that you guys have to download or anything. It's all on Steam's end, so that'll be pretty easy to do. I wonder if I should show you what there is. There honestly isn't that much. I kind of feel like maybe I won't even show you some playtime, which will make this a bit boring of a video. And I know I didn't do a whole lot of videos this month, so and let's hop right into that. So. I fell for a trick and a trap that I should have known from all the things I've read about psychology. It is known that when you have a very distant deadline for anything of any kind, human brains are very bad at planning for the future, and so it is very easy to think, oh, that's a while in the future. I don't have to worry about that. I've got plenty of time. And so doing this monthly schedule that I decided last month I'm finally going to do this, monthly releases, I fell into that same trap. I was like, oh, I've got a month. I can work on this other thing, and so I started working on this RPG Maker game that I don't know how far that's going to go. So I think I can't do that. I want to do the monthly release. That's still a thing, but I'm going to create kind of a new system for myself where I will every week release some sort of update. And I will switch every other week. If I want to do a different project, I will do it for a week and then switch back to Mysterious Space. So because I do think I would like to continue to work on this RPG Maker thing, or even if I dumped out, I might want to work on something else. I mean, it is entirely possible to get kind of burnt out on the same code, and it's fun to do other projects. So, but I will at least work on Mysterious Space every other week, quite possibly more often, and that I hope will help me out. And just to go a little more with the psychology thing, there's actually an interesting, they've done studies and things that show that, for example, if a professor says, hey, you have 4 papers due, but they're all due at the end of the semester, do them whenever you want. Doesn't that sound great? Well, it's not great. Students will do much worse, a final grade at the end of the semester than if the professor said, hey, you have to turn in one of these papers every 2 weeks. Because brains are just bad at that kind of thing, and so the solution is, you can't train your brain to overcome. Maybe in that case you could, but there are a lot of things that human brains are bad at, and it seems that the best solution is often to just kind of trick your brain, realize that that's a limitation and come up with a better system. And so I'm to that end, I've made this new system that I just described. There's a lot of things like that. There are self-help books that say that you should train your willpower, but psychology says that it doesn't work that way. That's nonsense. What you do is, if it's something like you eat too many cookies, then you just don't make cookies available to eat. You just, put them where they're inconvenient to get, or don't buy huge bags, buy smaller bags so that you eat, a controlled portion, all those sorts of things. That because your brain does have those failings, so you just have to trick yourself basically, or work around it. So anyway, and again, I know these things. I've read about these things in so many books. I have a whole psychology section on my bookshelf, and from all these books I've read, and I should have known, but I didn't think about it. So anyway, fix for the future. So please enjoy this update. We've got some bug fixes, as you can see. From little things to more annoying things. to bigger awful things like this one here, when you were transformed from the advanced technology that changes your ship. If you were in co-op with an orbital player, they would just get detached forever for the rest of the game. They were just screwed. So got that fixed up. And I should actually add in, thanks to DDR Kirby ISQ for reporting this. That'll have to go into the next release. What will that be? Don't know. 8.1, and I decided to go, I was on the 0.7.8, I think. I decided to jump up to 8.0 with the addition of these Steam achievements, and also taking into account, and the outposts, which I have talked about in a previous video, and then just everything that happened in 7.8. There were a lot of changes here as well, so I really thought that with everything combined, a bump up to 0.0, 8.0, I don't know, was appropriate. The version number hardly matters, honestly. It's really just for my own, how far are we since 1.0? I feel like we're 7 big steps, apparently, from the initial 7-day roguelike release. So I will stop talking now, because you have listened to me quite enough, and I don't have any. I could show you video, but again, there's nothing really to show. Yeah, it's been shown off in previous videos. The main thing is the Steam achievements, so please have fun getting those. Oh, and I also want to just talk briefly about feedback. It's awesome that people have left feedback, good and bad, on Steam. And one thing is that a couple people were really like, I can't tell when I'm taking damage, and it's frustrating, and 2 people cited the force fields being hard to read as one instance where that was causing them problems. And once one frustrating thing like this happens, then you're just tearing the game apart. So fair enough. I changed those to hopefully make them more visible. There is another issue still that players may have noticed, and one of the guys commented on, with the teleporting robotish eye things. They teleport around, and they have this little white outline animation that kind of gathers together, and then they appear. But on a white background, like on a snowy world, you might not notice, and then you just collide into it, and collision damage is really extreme, and you feel like it wasn't your fault, and it wasn't your fault. The contrast is just not great enough. So that is something I'm going to look to fix for sure, but it wasn't as easy to fix, and they are less common. This is a more common occurrence, and it was a lower hanging fruit, I guess you'd say. So I went ahead and fixed that up. I'm not super happy with the texture. I'll probably improve it in the future, but it's more important that it is clear to the players what's going on, than it is that it's a beautiful texture or whatever. I can make it prettier later, but I really wanted to make sure that first and foremost it was visible and obvious to players. And yeah, I changed the colors as well, not just the texture, to make sure that they contrast more with any background colors going on. So I may tweak all those things in the future, but for now at least it should be much more readable, and I will fix up those little teleporting guys. But anyway, so yeah, thanks to everyone who reports all these bugs. I wouldn't find these things without you guys, so that's awesome. Anyway, sorry, I said I was gonna shut up a little bit ago, so I will do so for real now. Thank you as always for playing and giving feedback, and I can't wait to see how people start getting these achievements. That'll be really cool. That's a different sort of feedback. It'll be neat to see the progress that people are making. So I will have an update video for you, hopefully this weekend, or thereabouts, or if not, at least a little post of my progress. And then again, maybe I'll switch to another project, or maybe I'll just keep working on Mysterious Space. But again, at least 2 weeks a month, possibly more. So goodbye, good night. I need to go to bed. Thanks again.